Hello. This is the chap who normally comes on at the start of these podcasts, this time affecting a simply dreadful British accent, for if I don't miss my guess, you're listening to this as part of The Rack, the Icebox Radio Theatre's new podcast of fantasy and science fiction. And nothing says fantasy quite so much as an American actor attempting to sound like something he's not. Now, we love all of our listeners, of course, but we especially love those who have stepped through the velvet ropes to become a listening supporter. Castles and spaceships are quite inexpensive to render here in the world of audio, but petrol money for actors as well as new microphones and equipment are somewhat less so. So we continue to depend on you, the wonderful listener, to help us continue to bring these stories to the world. Simply go to our website, that's iceboxradio.org, and look for the word support across the top of the page there. On that page, you can learn all about our Patreon, you can learn about our membership program, or even just how to drop a $5 in the post. We're not picky. We just appreciate whatever kind attention you and your checkbook may be able to offer us. And now, since brevity be the soul of wit, I yield for this evening's presentation. You are driving in a dark forest, the pine boughs heavy with snow. At the end of a long dirt track road, you arrive at your destination. It's a small, weather-beaten motel called Toujours Gelée. It's not much to look at, really. Just a single weather-beaten shack surrounded by a half-dozen equally run-down cabins. Out back, there's a dingy fishing dock right next to the spaceport. And a few picnic tables for cleaning fish conveniently placed right next to the time portal. So it's easy to dispose of the chum. Come up to the office now. Let the bear in the tuxedo take your bags. Ask the time-traveling Viking at the concierge desk if you have any questions, and then step up to the main desk to meet the owner, Old Pierre.
Hello, and welcome to Toujours Gelée Motel. Looking for something to do? We have all kinds of tourist information right over here. I invite you to select a brochure from The Rack.
Testing. Okay, here goes. 3, 2... I've just got off the phone with an Arizona sheriff, and I really need to record my thoughts on this call while everything is still fresh in my mind. Someday I may be able to sit down and make some sense of it all. Edit it, maybe, but not right now. Right now, everything is still too close to the surface for me to be objective. I find it ironic I'm using the same recording unit that's responsible for this whole tale in the first place to record my thoughts now, but more about that later. My name is Desmond Winter. My friends call me Des, and I'm not quite sure how to begin this. I'm an insurance appraiser, so I've heard a lot of fantastic explanations over the years. This story, though, it takes the cake. A while ago, to take my mind off the job, I joined a local audio theater group. I know in this day of, computerized everything, the idea of audio drama sounds like a pretty arcane hobby, especially up here in the Northland, where any activity that doesn't involve a fishing rod, a 30-30, or a frozen puck is viewed with deep suspicion. Well, I joined the theater a few years back anyway, and put my love of tinkering to good use by volunteering for the sound effects crew. And that's where I met Al. To the rest of the world, he was Alan Brady, a friend and a much better sound effects man than me. Al was one of those middle-aged geeky guys that took sound recording equipment everywhere he went. He frequently drove his family nuts with his favorite phrase.
Can you guys be quiet? I'm recording.
Well, sound recording has changed dramatically over the last decade. Modern recorders run for hours on just 2 pinlight batteries. But, well, I digress. One day Al decided to take a short vacation to Arizona. As expected, the theater's little H2 recorder was in his carry-on bag. No surprise there. What was surprising is that Al vanished the day after he checked into his hotel, and he hasn't been seen since.
The Icebox Radio Theater presents Incident at Maricopa County,
Poor Al had vanished off the face of the earth. However, thanks to that H2, it wasn't the last anyone heard from Al. Not by a long shot. Al's disappearance was one of those 9-day wonders. Speculation ran rampant for a couple of weeks, then seemed to die out as quickly as it had happened. The theories behind his disappearance were as thick as flies. My personal favorite was that Al had been abducted by aliens, a theory Al certainly would have enjoyed. For a few weeks, his photo was shown on TV, and, well, someone claimed to have spotted him in a convenience store in Pointe-Claire, Quebec, of all places. Everyone who knew him was interviewed by the local police. Since Al's rental car had been found abandoned on federal land, the FBI eventually inherited the case. They even interviewed me, but like everyone else, I had nothing of any use to tell them. Chalk up one more unsolved disappearance. Al just disappeared into the desert. The authorities traced his phone log and credit card use, but that trail ended the night he disappeared. Eventually, everything went back to normal for us in Borderland. Then one day, a little over 2 years after Al went missing, a small package arrived in the theater's mail. Mike, our sound design guy, and I were fiddling with a defective cable when the mailman handed me a box. Were you expecting any shipments, Mike? The post office just dropped this off.
Nope. What have we here? A note from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office? Here we go. Borderland Radio Theater, to whom it may concern. I have been instructed to return the enclosed item to you by Sheriff Jerry Stoneman on behalf of the County Prosecutor's Office. Blah, blah, blah. During the investigation into the disappearance of Mr. Alan Brady on February the 21st, 2007, the enclosed item was recovered from the roof of Mr. Brady's rental car that was found parked at La Puesta del Sol. The vehicle was found near the end of an unpaved road in the desert east of the Verde River on the Yavapai Apache Reservation. Sincerely, Roger Downs, Deputy Sheriff, Maricopa County.
Well, I'll be. It's the Zoom H2 Al took with him. Boy, I never expected to see this again. We spent good money replacing you, little fella. I bet you have one humdinger of a story to tell.
Wow, that's amazing. This recorder must have 9 lives.
Huh. What do you know? They even return the rechargeable batteries. Thank you, Deputy Downs.
We might have to toss those batteries out if they sat in some guy's desk for 2 years.
I don't know. Al purchased them new just a week before his trip. It's not like they've been recharged 100 times.
I don't have time to check the sound card right now, but I do want to hear what's on there. How about you give them a listen, Des? Just let me know if you find anything interesting, okay? See you later.
Okay, Mike. Sure, by all means. I wasted no time pulling the data card out of the H2 and loading it into the computer. I was dying to hear what Al had recorded. Waiting for the computer to display the contents of the data card felt like the longest half minute of the year. All right, folder 1. Let's see. What have we here? Okay. 18 recorded files. Let's see what Al left us. This feels kind of creepy. Almost like reading Al's personal journal without his permission. Okay. File 1. You never could resist making an ambience clip, could you, Al? Excellent. Timed out to just over a minute, too. All right, number 2. I hope you didn't have this thing running during the takeoff, buddy. It's a no-no. Most of the recordings were short sound clips that Al had picked up along his travels. A cab ride, hotel sounds, restaurant sounds, and a few miscues thrown in. All in all, a pretty unremarkable collection. That is, until I loaded the final clip. For a moment I thought this was a miscue as well, but then I realized I was watching the upload of an enormous file. This was definitely not going to be like any of the others. It took almost an hour for the clip to download. The time code read 19 hours, 47 minutes, and 21 seconds. I clicked play and began to listen to the most remarkable recording I have ever heard. One that's taken on a life of its own.
I'm going to try something a little different here.
The clip began with a sort of announcement.
Use a little bit of the time, describing my surroundings a bit. Beautiful out here at twilight. I just pulled off the Fave Road onto the dirt road leading up to the desert. Oh, what the heck is that? Oh, jeez. Flew right into my headlight. There it is again. Oh, for crying out loud. Nighthawks. Yeah, chasing bugs in the headlights. Nearly scared the crap out of me. Boy, they came so close to the car, I thought they were going to fly right into it. Now, what the heck? Ah, cows. Scrawny steers wandering across the road up ahead. Well, I'm glad this trail was posted as a warning sign for animals. This must be what they call the open range. Oh, boom, 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 boom. Gonna set the recorder up on the roof of the car to record desert sounds at twilight. The big hope is coyotes, howling. Guy I met back at the hotel said some nights they howl for hours. They're going to take a little while for the engine to cool down, or the contracting metals doesn't click and pop and mess up the recording, so I'll just keep talking for a bit. I was out here this morning. It's a pretty cool place. Indian land, I think. The road sign says this is North Hiawatha Hood Road. Sure looks different this time of day. It's about half an hour after sunset now, and it's getting dark fast. Must be, 7 p.m.? Too dark to read my watch. And there's no dashboard clock. You can just make out the silhouette of a building over a crest about 100 yards west of the road. Farther off to my right, I can see the glow of a little bedroom community, maybe. Difficult to judge distances in this twilight, but 5-6 miles, maybe. Left, couple of pinpoints, and on a light way off in the distance, rancher's land, maybe. Behind me to the north, it's darkness, as far as you can see. Mind you, right about now, I could see maybe 100 feet before my eyes give up trying to unscramble the shadows. Oh yeah, and there's a thin fingernail of a moon off to the southwest. That'll be setting in a couple of hours, I suppose, or near enough the evening star, possibly Venus. Other stars are beginning to appear as the sky darkens, especially out, over to the east. Oh, wouldn't you know it. I'm up some godforsaken dirt road, middle of the desert, but I still managed to wind up under a flippin' flight path. There can't be an airport within 50 miles. And over to the east of the mountains, I do see a neat little row of landing lights, just my luck. Well, maybe I can get some good background recordings between the overflights. Better think about moving down the road anyways. Have to scout out a better location tomorrow for sure. This is turning out to be quite an adventure. Sorry, worrywart back at the resort were nervous about rattlesnakes or scorpions on the resort grounds. They think I'm nuts coming out here at night. One of them said, "You're just going to get bit by something, dude." I suppose that some of the locals hereabouts would feel that way about running into a bear if they were visiting up us north, but I'm not planning to go gallivanting off into the cactus. No, Mama didn't raise no fools. Have to admit this place is definitely more than a little creepy after dark. At the moment, the whole place is crawling with the most emaciated cattle I've ever seen. Longhorns, I guess, just scrawny bags of bones. There's horses wandering around out here, too. Saw a couple earlier. They looked a little healthier than the cows, and they look at least smart enough to steer clear of the car. The cows are either too dumb to bother to moving out of the way, or they'll spook and stampede off in all directions. Home on the range ain't what it used to be. I'm getting a free reality check here, Al. There they go again. I hope the recorder is picking them up. Parabolic would have come in handy. It'd pick up a mouse fart up close and personal, but it's too bulky to pack. Well, at least the dog's sunset chorus is in full operation tonight. Wonder how far a dog's bark carries out here. Miles, I bet. Now, if only the coyotes would come on. Note to self, never sample all-you-can-eat buffet before coming out night recording. All you can hear is your own guts rumbling. Last night at the hotel, you could hear them all around the grounds. Too bad the rumble of air conditioners ruined that effect. It's dark now. Except for the occasional jet going over, it's very quiet. No night birds, no wind. Just an occasional cow complaining. Kind of peaceful, really. You can see the occasional headlights on the horizon near the village, across the river. But the sound doesn't carry this far. Best of all, no trains. Well, back home, you constantly hear trains rumbling through town. Could hardly record anything. It's never this quiet back home. Well, nothing interesting happening here. Time to move down a bit to the far end of the road. Maybe the garbage cans around the grounds Would attract a coyote or two. Road peters out here and branches off into a bunch of unpaved parking lots. Strange, but it feels like it's getting even darker. I must be getting spooked. Dark is dark. Besides, I can still see the moon and evening star. There we go. That's what we're after. Odd. Where do those ranch lights in the east go? Really strange. I can't see lights from a standing position either. Maybe the Indians were right about Old Man Coyote being a trickster. Could be he's messing with my eyes. It's almost as if a blanket was being drawn over the sky, like black fog. Must be more tired than I thought. Stars are winking out one by one. Turned that radio off when I left the pavement. Now it'll take an hour before any self-respecting coyote calms down. Not to mention it's going to take a week for my heart rate to get back to normal. That was bizarre. Doesn't make any sense. There's no way I could have bumped the radio's controls. And I pressed every audio control on the steering wheel. No radio whatsoever. Hey. Where'd you guys come from? 1 minute feels like I'm the only living thing out here, and the next I'm in the middle of a cow herd? The same cow herd? Hey, come on, move it, guys. You got 50 square miles to wander around, and all of a sudden you gotta be right here? Well, if any of you think of inviting yourself into this car, you got another thing coming. Back off there, bossy. Well, I'll get a good recording of a herd of cattle at least, so long as these goofs don't stampede on me. Oh, those scratches on the fenders. There goes my security deposit. Oh, sure. Now the damn cows butting up against the car knocked the mic over. Well, sign at the entrance did offer a Western experience, trail riding and cattle droving by appointment. I'm getting a freebie, sort of. Horn don't work. Maybe the key needs to be... Nothing. Well, now what? Can't be a dead battery. It was working perfectly when I pulled up the window a minute ago. No power? This is nuts. Nothing. No lights, no horn, no AC, not even wipers, and now the window won't open? Good thing there's a manual overdrive here. So, get a grip, Alan. Maybe all those cows just loosened a battery cable. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Just calm down. Cows have to move on sometime, and when they do, I'll get out and check under the hood. I just might have to walk those 5 miles back to the highway. In the pitch black with rattlesnakes and scorpions and who knows what else. Maybe I should have listened to the people back at the ranch. Oh, come on now, relax, silly old fart. Jeez, now the moon's gone. Still see the evening star. Well, damn thing just winked out in front of my eyes. Nope, car's still dead as a doornail. Hey, remember there's one of those LED flashlights in the glove compartment. There you are. Okay, let's get a little light on this. What? These batteries died too. Less than 20 seconds. That's too much. Hey, yeah. Must be aliens. The glow across the Verde is gone too. What is this, some kind of mass power failure? Batteries and electrical alike? Well, what got into them? They know something I don't? Or maybe should? At least it's safe to reset my mic now that the cattle took off. Those taillights are moving fast. Who could reverse that fast in the middle of the desert? Okay, now I'm officially worried. This feels very wrong. Even the air started to smell bad. Worse than those spooked cattle. Okay, I'm not thinking straight. My cell. I'll just call AAA for a tow. I just got a text. Today is a good day to die? What's going on here? ghost of Chief Dan George or something. I just got to call for help, that's all. No bars, I just got to check. The battery's dead too. Just like the flashlight. Useless crap. Them taillights are getting closer. Those can't be taillights. They're too bright. They're too far apart. Too high off the ground. Oh, Lord. One just blinked out like a huge eye.
And that's all she wrote. Everything else is just silence. And the recording stayed that way until the batteries died. Absolute dead silence. The strangest thing, something I can't explain. Just to be thorough, I took the time to check every folder on the recorder. And you know what? Each folder contained an exact duplicate of the same recording and nothing else. Weird. I have no idea how to even do that on purpose. Simultaneous recording in every folder? There's nothing in the manual explaining how to do that. And while we're on the topic of weird, it appears that the H2 was the only piece of electronic equipment out there that didn't quit working. Almost as if whatever made that noise wanted to leave a message. Something came roaring up to where Al was standing. He screams. Then everything goes quiet as a grave. And 2 years later, still no sign of Al. No Al, no footprints, no unexplained tire tracks, not even a loose gum wrapper. After listening to that recording over and over, I got kind of obsessed with the mystery of it all. Mike was as keen to listen as I was, but he was just as mystified as me. I spent hours, well, to be more precise, days and nights, researching online anything related to unexplained disappearances in that part of Arizona. I read everything for a long time. Mike finally refused to talk about it anymore. He called it
one of life's little mysteries. Give it a rest, Des. You're going to drive yourself nuts.
Next, I got caught up in news stories about UFO sightings around the Superstition Mountains for a bit. I even made a few calls to the local newspapers, and, well, that took my investigation on an interesting turn.
News desk.
Hi, I'm trying to get a hold of Jerry Franks, who wrote the story on the missing tourist from Minnesota a few years back. Is he there?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but he doesn't exist. I wrote those stories. This is Jerry Franks.
Oh, forgive me. This is embarrassing. I assumed you were a man, Ms. Franks. Jerry with an I. Well, yeah, that's right. Listen, Ms. Franks, my name is Desmond Winters, and I was a friend of Al Brady, the man who disappeared. I've read everything you've written about the incident online, and I'm still trying to make some sense of it all. Can you give me a few minutes?
Oh, sure, I've got a few minutes to spare. How can I help you?
Well, first of all, have there been any new developments in the case that you know of?
Well, nothing new at this end, Mr. Winter. At least nothing that the sheriff's office is making public. It's still an open case, albeit an inactive one. A cold case, they call it.
I see. What information have the police shared with the media?
Well, pretty much everything in the article is accurate. It was a 9-day wonder, short on facts, shorter on leads, and long on speculation.
Did they say anything about a recording, an audio recording of the incident?
No, nobody ever mentioned a recording to me. Do you know something about one?
You are a reporter. Well, okay, look, a couple of weeks ago, your sheriff's office mailed a digital recorder back to us that Al had with him when he disappeared. They recovered it from his rental car and made a copy of the recordings on it before sending it back to us. I was wondering if anyone there spoke to you about the contents of those files.
No. The cops didn't let on there was a recording. It appears the authorities may have withheld a fair bit of information from the public, but then again, they routinely do that. Were you aware that the only thing they found of a personal nature belonging to your friend were his shoes and glasses?
His shoes?
Yes. His shoes were recovered on the ground beside the car, as if he had just stepped out of them. His glasses were lying in the gravel about 60 feet from where the shoes were found. Nobody has any idea how the glasses came to be where they turned up. They were too far away for him to have thrown them there. There were no human footprints at the site at all.
Well, that fits the recording. Al was talking to himself as he described the car being surrounded by a bunch of cattle shortly before he disappeared.
He made a recording of his own disappearance?
Apparently so. The cops have the recording of it all.
You wouldn't have a transcript of the recording, would you?
Well, the recording is a little over 19 hours long, Ms. Franks. Most of it was dead silence. The first half hour or so is mainly Al describing himself being in the desert that night. Before everything went quiet, he was obviously confused and scared. The recording ends with a terrified scream. It creeps me out every time I listen to it, to be honest.
Would you be willing to send me a copy of that first half hour, please?
Well, if you think it would help you to identify what the sound is that leads up to his scream, then yeah, sure. Where can I send it?
Well, you've got the paper's web address. My email is in the contact list. Can you send me a sound file? And please, keep this to yourself for a while. I'll listen to it and do some digging. I can't promise to answer your questions, but who knows? The desert is a pretty harsh, unforgiving environment. I can tell you that the authorities pulled out all the stops trying to find your friend. Dune buggy searches, searches on horseback, a search and rescue chopper scoured the area for 10 miles in every direction for a couple of days.
Really?
Well, they even dragged a couple of miles of the Verde River. The lunatic fringe hereabouts says it was an alien abduction. One or two swear up and down he was in the wrong place at the wrong time and wandered into a drug deal. But to be honest, we're a little too far from the Mexican border for that to be plausible.
How many disappearances do you have out there in a year?
Oh, very few. The locals respect the desert and take precautions. I'd imagine, much like you guys respect the winter up there.
Yeah, true enough.
Off the top of my head, I'd say 2, maybe 3 people die in the desert a year. Snowbirds and tourists mostly. Often it's from heart attack or heat stroke, but body always turns up in a day or two. The fact that your friend's body was never found, that's the real mystery.
It was a long wait before Ms. Frank's email arrived. It consisted of 3 words. Call me soonest.
The wireless customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later.
Ms. Franks, it's Desmond Winters returning your call. I trust you have news for me. I'll try back later. I tried reaching her several times that day and the next. I wasn't idle while waiting for Frank's call. I went online and in frustration tried verifying the UFO angle by cross-checking any missing persons reports with any reported UFO sightings. Yeah, I know it was a crazy idea, and as I expected, it led nowhere. Ms. Franks was right. The last time someone had really disappeared was nearly a decade ago, and the guy turned up later in Alaska hiding out from a string of bad debts. Ms. Franks?
Yes, Desmond. I'm glad I finally got through. I have to tell you, that is one bizarre sound file you sent me. Way beyond creepy. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to identify it either. But I haven't given up. I've spent some time looking into the drug smuggling angle with a contact in the sheriff's office. There's nothing there. We're just a bit too far north for those particular problems. Doesn't rule out your friend stumbling across a local drug deal, but that seems highly unlikely.
Another dead end, huh? Well, something happened to Al. Something that took him so fast he left his shoes and glasses behind. What on earth can scream like a demented banshee and carry off a grown man without leaving any tracks?
Well, I drove out to the site yesterday and found nothing there that could explain anything. But on the way back, I stopped at the local gas station and got to chatting with this wizened-up old Indian. He was telling me that the area where your friend disappeared is considered sacred land to those who still follow the old ways. He told me the elders don't hold with the way the land is being used today. He said it's disrespectful and makes the old ones, the ancient spirits, angry. According to him, in the old days, no one would have dared to venture out there without conducting the proper ceremonies. He was lamenting that the young people don't care about the ancient practices, and many traditional rituals have been forgotten, or worse yet, deliberately ignored. He said that without proper knowledge, that particular place can be very dangerous, especially at night. He was very persuasive. On a wild hunch, I asked him to listen to that weird sound you sent me.
Hello? You still there?
Yes, still here. This is where everything went kind of Twilight Zone on me. That old guy went really quiet and actually stumbled back a couple of steps, like someone had punched him in the gut. He covered his ears and shut his eyes. Then he grabbed this little pouch that was hung around his neck, and his hand was trembling like crazy. Well, I shut the recording off when I realized how agitated he'd become. He was shaking like a leaf. So I helped him over to a bench, bought a couple of bottles of water, and offered him one. But then he shook his head and said quietly,
"Bad medicine. Sanina Halea. Very bad medicine."
He then rose to his feet and with all the dignity he could muster, climbed into a beat-up half-ton and left.
What did he mean by that?
I honestly don't know, but I can tell you that sound scared the crap out of the poor old guy.
No, I mean, what was it that he said? That say something. Did you ever figure that out?
I think it's one of the local Apache dialects. I checked with an anthropologist I know at the university. She said the word can be translated as the rock monster eagle. She said among the local tribes it's a mythological creature that has lived in the desert since before the dawn of time. Kind of like the Apache version of a genie. She told me that, according to legend, it's not something you'd want to meet in a dark alley. I'm going back out there tonight with a video recorder to see what happens.
Do you think that's wise, Jerry? I'm thinking it's maybe high time to drop this. This whole thing has really creeped me out again.
No, this has potential to be a great story, but my editor won't look at it unless I can show him I've retraced every aspect of the event. Besides, it's my job. It is what I get paid to do.
Just promise me you won't go out there alone.
Well, I could, but that wouldn't duplicate the original incident, would it?
Look, I just have a really bad feeling about this. Please reconsider.
Oh, please, Mr. Winter, quit worrying. I'll be okay. I don't believe all this Indian claptrap. It's just theatrics to scare the gullible tourists as they eat weenies sitting around the campfire.
It's not anybody huddled around a fire that worries me. It's what might be watching from the shadows, just outside the ring of the firelight, that keeps me awake at night, Mrs. Franks.
Not to worry, friend. My paper knows I'm going up there. I'll check in with you around 8 p.m. my time.
I was getting nervous long before Jerry was due to call. My imagination was in high gear. That you, Jerry?
The one and only, and you can relax. All as quiet as the tomb.
I'm not appreciating your gallows humor at the moment.
No, really, it's okay. This is a great place to watch the sunset. Everything is set to go just in case. Except my video recorder went on the blink a minute ago and the spare batteries are dead.
Miss Franks, you heard Al's recording, right? He thought everything was peaceful, too, until it was too late. Remember? Dead batteries was the first thing that Al noticed that wasn't right. Please, just get away from there.
Well, it does seem to be a lot darker than I would have expected it to be. And there's this faint, rotten smell. But, in another few minutes, I'll have my story in the bag, a real unsolved mystery. Huh. Wonder what that red glow off to the north is.
Jerry, for the love of Mike, get out of there. I heard that horrible roar again coming closer, a near duplicate of the first recording. Then the call was abruptly terminated from her end. Come on, lady, pick up. Please.
The wireless customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later.
I called Ms. Frank's cell frantically for about 45 minutes, each time getting the same recording.
Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
Yes. Can I please speak to the sheriff?
Is this an emergency, sir? The sheriff's gone off duty for the night?
Yes, yes, it is. Look, you need to send someone out to check on a situation on, what was the name? Puesta del Sol, I think it's called, on, Hiawatha or something road. Look, somebody needs to check on a woman named Jerry Franks. She's a reporter. Can you get someone out there right away?
Sir, what
What is the nature of this emergency exactly?
An accident, I think. I was talking to her on her cell phone, and it sounded like she got hit by a car or something. There was this roar, and then the phone quit, and now she isn't answering.
That's out past Fort McDowell, out off the B-line, sir. Where are you calling from, please? The system isn't locating your phone.
My name is Desmond Winters. I'm calling from northern Minnesota. I was reassured help was on the way and advised to call back in the morning to speak with the sheriff, which I did. I spent an hour explaining to a somewhat skeptical sheriff about my concerns for Ms. Franks. When I finished my bizarre explanation, Sheriff Stoneman was silent for a bit.
Yes, Jerry Franks is considered a reputable journalist in these parts. We discussed the Brady disappearance at length not that long ago. So you're the gentleman who convinced her to look into the incident. I must admit your story is compelling.
Well, Sheriff, I don't think it was me that convinced Ms. Franks to look into that mystery. It was Alan Brady's recording that did that. Last night, she was determined to try to reproduce the circumstances of Al's disappearance, despite my protests. And, Sheriff, I swear I heard the same noise over Frank's cell last night that is on that recording Al made nearly 3 years ago.
Well, thank you for your help in this matter, Mr. Winter. Once this current situation with Ms. Franks has been resolved, I'll be looking into the Brady disappearance again as well. Maybe I can persuade the FBI to reopen the case.
Two nights ago, 3 agents from the FBI office in the cities paid me a visit. It seems the sheriff was successful in drawing a compelling connection between the two disappearances. They interviewed me at length and left as mysteriously as they arrived. But my biggest surprise was yet to come. Thanks for calling, Sheriff. This is a surprise. Any word on Ms. Franks?
Afraid not, Mr. Winters, and to be honest, I seriously doubt we will find any more than we did the night you called. Just another abandoned car, camcorder, and a cell phone, all with dead batteries. Funny thing, lab people said they couldn't get any of those batteries to hold a charge, not even the car battery.
That doesn't surprise me a bit. We found it was the same with all our equipment, except, of course, those audio recorders.
Yeah, the recorders.
You all right, Sheriff? You went silent there for a moment.
There's a lot of mysteries out in that desert. How you came to get that recorder is going to be one of those mysteries, you understand?
I think I do, yes.
It can never be linked back to this office. Ever.
Yes, sir, but that begs a question.
Yes?
Why?
I've been a peace officer in this territory for 30 years. A lot of good people watch loved ones disappear out there. The FBI's got the lid on tight. Just once, I'd like to get some idea what it was all about. That little recorder is the closest thing to a lead we've ever seen. And besides, shouldn't have kept working like it did. Shouldn't have kept recording. All the other batteries and all the other devices died. Why would this one little recorder keep working?
Do you have an answer for that, Sheriff?
No, but I was kind of hoping you might get one. Someday.
I don't know. Shouldn't it be with, I don't know, some kind of expert?
Probably. I've seen enough evidence carted out of here by so-called experts to know nothing will ever come back to me. The FBI, they don't think much of small-town law enforcement. Sending that recorder to you, at least I have a chance of learning something.
Oh, okay, but Sheriff?
Yes?
Why me?
Who better than the sound effects man to unravel this one? There's one more thing. Maybe I should have led with this.
Yeah?
You don't need to hold on to that recorder if you don't want to.
I've given a lot of time to Al's disappearance, Sheriff. Why wouldn't I?
Well, like I say, we don't know why that recorder kept working. Could be something wanted to be on that recording. Wanted to be heard. Makes me think twice about even being close to the damn thing. I'd think twice if I were you.
He thanked me again and hung
the air
up.
Started to smell bad. Worse than those spooked cattle.
So, I locked my doors and listened to Al Brady's last recording.
I'll just call
Ghoulish? Maybe. We really don't know if Al's dead, do we? We just know he's somewhere without his shoes and glasses. Jerry Franks, too. Another soul lost in the place they call Puesta del Sol.
I just gotta call
good people that have gone missing.
No bars, I just gotta check.
So, I listened to the recording and looked for clues and wonder if someday Men in Black will kick down my door and haul me away for tampering with evidence. Or if something else will kick down my door. Something that sounds like a banshee flying low over the desert. Something that... How did the sheriff put it?
Like a huge eye.
Wants to be heard. It's getting hard to sleep at night. I wake up sometimes and just listen to the recording.
Is this some kind of mass
But
power
lately
thing?
I've found a way to make myself feel better. I go to travel websites and look at tickets to Arizona. Round trip, one way, first class, coach. I look at them all. Tickets to Arizona.
You know something I don't?
I'm thinking it might be time for vacation.
My mind now that the cattle took off. Those taillights are moving fast. Who could reverse that fast in the middle of the desert? Okay, now I'm officially worried. This feels very wrong. Even the air started to smell bad. Worse than those spooked cattle.
This has been Incident at Maricopa County, an episode of The Rack from the Icebox Radio Theater. Our cast featured Jim Yunt as Dez, David Yunt as Michael, Victoria Olson was Jerry, Jeffrey Adams played Al and the deputy, and Stephen Windells was Sheriff Stoneman. Script written by David Erwin. Directed and edited by Jeffrey Adams. This program copyright 2014 by the Icebox Radio Theater. All rights reserved. For more information, visit them on the web at iceboxradio.org. It can be in the sound of the orchestra preparing, or in the sound of a sculptor working in stone, or even in the sound of laughter from inside a theater. It is the sound of art being created, and for over 3 decades, the sound of art being created has rung loud and clear in northeastern Minnesota. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council has been encouraging local arts development in northeastern Minnesota through grants and services for over 35 years. Every year, they give out more than $500,000 to local artists and arts organizations, and that helps create $40 million in revenue and jobs created. To find out more about our arts programs or how you can get involved, visit aracouncil.org. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, where the arts flourish, you thrive.